Hello, just want to welcome you to our Year 12 support presentation. Thank you for your support. If you're watching this, you clearly want to support your son or daughter while they're in sixth form, so we really do appreciate that. And we know from experience that working together, your support and our sort of teaching and support is what allows students to be successful. So we do appreciate it. Thank you. My name is Mr. Rayner. I'm head of sixth form at St Mary's. I teach biology as well. I've been here for quite a few years now. My contact details are on there on the screen. I'll come back to that later as well. So the purpose of this is just to go through those points that have got on the screen there, just to describe what we expect of students daily, describe what students need to do to be successful, outline some of the support that we can offer, highlight some of the key dates this year, and then obviously briefly mention the careers options and support we've got for students looking at beyond sixth form as well. So we want them to get the grades, but we want them to have a plan as they move onwards afterwards as well. In terms of day-to-day routine, students have to be in at 8:30 each morning. And there's two reasons for that. One is that they meet with a form tutor, but it's also getting them into that routine in the same way that you would have to in a job, whether they've got lessons period 1 or period 2. If they're in, they're up and they can get some work done. The flexibility with the sixth formers is that is what time they finish, which I'll mention in a second. The other aspect, as well as that routine, is the time they spend with their tutor in the morning. It is purposeful, it's planned. There's a range of different activities that they do each week. There's a series of what's called VESPER activities, which is looking at some of the mindset and some of the practical approaches to being successful, both in academic areas and then moving on to work. We've got actually teaching them some of those academic skills. We look at reading, we look at research, we look at revision skills. We discuss moral dilemmas, so problems they might come across and how they might solve those as they move through college and then beyond into the big wide world. There's an assembly each week where we meet together as a year group, share important messages, and have some collective worship as part of the Catholic ethos. Then also the tutor will discuss attendance and look at an offering pastoral support as well. So students have to be in at 8:30 each morning. And then after that is the teaching, which is 5 hours per subject each week. And obviously students are expected to work beyond that as well, which they can do in college or at home. That's where the flexibility and the responsibility comes in as well, planning that and when they will do that. They will also have on their timetable an hour of curriculum for life, which is a combination of some of the Catholic teaching, which we offer as part of our Catholic sixth form curriculum, but also looking at helping us prepare students for life beyond sixth form as well. So some important life skills within that as well. So those 16 hours for most students is what they're expected to do on their timetable. They will have what they would call frees. I'd like to call them study periods. But again, it's flexible what students do with those. They can go to the village, they can sign out, as long as they sign out and sign back in, or they can use our study area and study facilities to make sure they've got less work to do at home. The students will finish after their last lesson. They can stay in after that, or they're free to leave after that. Again, we just ask them to sign out. College open hours, some students come in very early, some students stay very late. We are open from sort of 7:30 till about 4:30, 5 o'clock for the students, and some students prefer getting as much work done as possible in college. Others prefer getting up and doing it at home. They've got that flexibility, and it's there as an option if they want to do that. In terms of what makes students successful in sixth form, this quote here, this first one, is something that I've been using in assembly recently. This idea that doing everything that does not require talent perfectly. So whether that's being punctual, bringing the right stuff, meeting deadlines, being polite, all those aspects, making sure all of that's done perfectly helps students succeed. And the key, really, one of the massive things there is attendance and punctuality. Students who are in front of teachers working with us are the ones that do better. And again, punctuality, this idea of not missing the first 5 minutes of a lesson when we're explaining what we're doing during that lesson, is crucial as well. So again, we stick with that working day. We talk about getting in at 8:30 because then you're not going to miss any of your lessons. Authorised attendance is obviously illness. If you let us know there's illness or medical issues, then we can authorise those. Doctors' medical appointments, if they can't be arranged at other times, are authorised as well. So things like driving tests where there's no flexibility of that. However, we can't authorise attendance for things like part-time work, driving lessons, holidays. They're something which we expect students to be in our lessons and not doing those things. Okay, maximising attendance will help improve performance. And then also this idea of organisation. Some students find this a lot easier than others, but the idea of getting a file and putting everything in the right order, bringing the right stuff at the right time, meeting deadlines for the vocational qualifications. Okay, that's something which some students need a little bit of support with, and tutors can help with that. The second one there might raise a few eyebrows as a parent, this idea of mithering. We suggest that students should mither their subject to teachers. As a parent, it's something we try and discourage, but as a staff, we encourage students to ask if they're not sure about things, ask about how to do exam questions, how do I improve, what can I do to get better. That's the sort of thing that students need to do. I mean, it's the responsibility is on the student to go find that member of staff and ask for that help. And as it says there, there's a sort of key aspect here. Just turning up and doing those 16 hours a week in college is not enough. There's a huge amount of content that we deliver that needs to be learnt, and you can't leave that until just before the exam. You need to learn that as you go through, and whether that's making keyword lists, whether that's making a glossary, whether that's doing concise notes each week or using the internet to find alternative explanations. Then it's also about applying that knowledge. The exams that we do in both vocational courses and the A-level courses are difficult, and there's a certain skill involved in answering those questions. So it's practicing answering questions. Again, that's something we'll look at in class, but it's something students can do beyond that. And then equally, this goes back to that mithering aspect. Students need to make sure they tell us when there's an issue. Okay, don't let things build up until you get to the point where there's loads that you're not sure about. It's a matter of making sure that you speak and communicate with us. So that's something that if you could reinforce that with your children, that'd be really, really good. The support is there if needs be. Obviously, as I mentioned, subject teachers are there. They're the specialists. So they're the people that will help the students learn and develop in those subjects. Form teachers are a daily port of call as well for pastoral reasons, discussions and any little problems as well. And then we've got a dedicated sixth form pastoral team. We've got Mrs. Pendlebury, who acts as head of year, and we've got Mr. Williams, who's the pastoral manager for sixth form as well. So if you've got any concerns, any issues, please do contact them, either ring up or their email addresses are on that screen as well. We've got counsellors in school that students can access via a referral system, and we've got links to other services as well. So very often, if we can't fix it, we've got contacts with specialists that can fix it. So again, if there are issues, do let us know. We do have a bursary. That information has been sent out. If you think you might be entitled to that, or there's any sort of financial need, please do get in touch, fill that form in and speak to us so that we can support you with that. Key dates, okay, there's quite a few on there. That's the advantage of this being pre-recorded. You can always pause it and have a look at those. But our first assessment, which is very much just a series of yes or no questions to staff. Are students doing what they should be? Are they attending? Are they working at the right level? That's sent out to you as parents 12th of October. Then our first set of mocks, relatively early, smaller mocks, usually just one paper per subject, are in November, and that will be reported to you as parents in December. Much bigger set of mocks, week's worth in February, where we will look at sort of 2 papers per subject, but better assessing a bit more detail, and that will be reported to you on the 16th, and as a parent receiving on the 17th of March to discuss progress with yourselves as well. And then the year 12s have an extra set of mocks towards the end of the year, just to see how that progress is carried on throughout the year in June. That's reported in July, and they've also got some work experience, all year 12s, 2 days of work experience in the end of June and the 1st of July as well. So just to briefly mention some of the options that we've got. Historically, a lot of students go through sixth form and then go to university that they apply through to UCAS, with about just over 60% of students do that this year. That's something that I oversee. Students get a specialist UCAS tutor in year 13 to help guide them through that process. This year is very much about getting information, doing some thinking. We will be giving information out to students. We'll do a parent session towards the end of the year as well to help you understand that system. Some courses do require work experience, so things like your vocational courses, like your teaching, your nursing, and medicine. So that's something to bear in mind, because that needs to get done this year. We can help you with that. But a lot of students start to look at apprenticeships as well. This is something which has grown significantly since I was in sixth form. It's less something you do at 16 and purely vocational. Now you can do post-18 apprenticeships, very often leading to a degree, getting paid, getting on the job training in all sorts of different things. That can be through legal apprenticeships, engineering, nursing. There's a wide range of different apprenticeships there. The very good ones are very, very competitive, so that's something to bear in mind. And obviously some students then go on to employment. Some students will decide to have a break, have a gap, or travel. It's been difficult the last 18 months, but that's something that occasionally students look at. Parents are possibly less keen. And then just mention our careers advisor. As I said, I oversee the UCAS applications at St Mary's. Our careers advisor, Dr. Liz McGee's, works here. She works with year 11s and with sixth formers. She's available to sixth formers every Monday for interviews. They can book themselves in for that, or they can book them through the sixth form team. But she's also keen to help and support you as parents as well. So if you do need any careers advice, any particular questions, again, the contact details there on the screen. But she's an expert and will help support the students as they move through the sixth form. What's coming next? And the final points, again, just to, without sounding like a grumpy old man, but the idea of this part-time work is brilliant, and it's something we do encourage students to do for financial reasons and a bit of experience in the big wide world as well. But if you're not, it can be on occasion something that then sort of then impinges on progress. If you are working repeated late nights at McDonald's, for example, or repeated late nights at the Trafford Centre, and then it gets to Christmas and then those become midnight shifts, that then really does have a negative impact on the progress that's being made in college. So it's something which is good and is positive. It just needs to be kept an eye on. And again, it's this idea of not booking holidays in term time as well. Appreciate the cheaper, but if you're missing 16 hours of teaching for a holiday, that's a huge amount to copy up on your own without that subject teacher support as well. So it's something to try and avoid if possible, please. And if at any point in sixth form you do have questions or you do have concerns, really strongly encourage you to get in touch with us. You know, whether it's a small concern or a big problem, let us know. We'll do everything we can to support you and support you in some of your daughter to get through. Because as is clearly obvious there, and this is something which the students start to realise as they move through sixth form, we might know that a little bit more at our age. But success isn't straightforward, it's complicated. There's lots of ups and downs on the way. So if it's, you know, it's not straightforward. As it says at the bottom, there's a quote from the previous student that it is describing sixth form as a very stressful time. But again, it's that support from teachers from the Key Stage 5 sixth form team that gets students through. So we really encourage you to get in touch if there are any sort of concerns and issues that you do have. So finally, like I said at the beginning, really appreciate you watching this. Hopefully it's been useful. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But as I said, we really appreciate your support. So thank you.